Hi everybody, welcome back to Tips for You. Today I want to talk to you about Diastasis Recti, also known as Recti Split. And anyone who is going to be starting an abdominal exercise program really should become familiar with Diastasis Recti. Diastasis Recti is the separation of the abdominal muscles that run down the front of your stomach. So they go from the sternum all the way down to the pubic bone on either side of the belly button. So here you have the middle, your belly button, starting at the sternum and going down both sides. You have what's called your rectus abdominis. When these muscles pull apart and separate, sometimes forming a bulge, anywhere along that line, that is a diastasis recti, also known as a recti split. Now, men and women can get a recti split. So what I'm going to suggest to help repair a recti split will be both useful for men and women. Now, when does this occur? Usually with women, it occurs during pregnancy. Towards the latter part of the pregnancy, when the abdomen gets quite stretched, sometimes those muscles can pull apart, and resulting in a recti split. It can also occur during pushing when you're delivering the baby. It can occur when the abdomen grows quickly as well, as when you have twins or triplets. So the instant stretching, if you've got a weak pelvic floor and the inner abdominal muscles are not that strong, and that's when it can occur. With men, it occurs when there's obesity involved. A man is overweight, he develops a belly. As the belly grows, if the pelvic floor is weak, very often the stomach muscles can separate. I'm going to show you how to know whether you have a diastasis recti or recti split. And the test that you do to find out whether you have it or not is the same for both men and women. So fellas, if you're listening, you're going to do the same thing as a woman would do to check and see if you have it. What's important about knowing whether you have a recti split is how you approach your abdominal exercise. If you jump right in and do crunches and sit-ups and that kind of exercise, and you have a recti split, what you can very often do is make it worse. Because when you do sit-ups and anything that engages the upper spine area, crunches, that type of thing, you're working the outer, the external abdominal muscles, the rectus abdominis. What you want to work in order to prevent a recti split from developing as well as to heal it is you want to work the internal abdominal muscles, the underlying ones, the deep ones. Those are called the transverse abdominis. When you work those muscles and you keep that pelvic floor strong, you support the entire inner body. And that's how you can prevent having a recti split, and it's also how you can repair one. So men, you can check right away. Ladies, you can check as well, but if you've just had a baby, you need to wait at least 4 days before you check whether you have a recti split. You want to give your body a little bit of time to just settle and heal a bit before you start the test, because there's too much lax muscles going on after you've delivered a baby. Okay, so let me show you how to tell whether you have a recti split. So if you'll join me over at my mat, I'm going to show you how to do the test as well as the exercises that you can do to help repair it and bring those muscles back together again. So you're going to lie down on a mat or on the floor, and it's very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to tilt your pelvis. So you're going to press your sacrum or the very small of your back into the floor. At the same time, you're going to do what's considered a crunch. And you're going to lift your head and your shoulders off the floor like you're doing a crunch. Now you have to get off the floor enough so that your rib cage starts heading towards your pelvis. You want to compress it towards your pelvis. Now when you do that, your abdominal muscles close. And if you have a recti split, they won't close. They'll be open. So lift yourself up, compress your rib cage down. Take 3 fingers, place it on the center line, right from your belly button up. And I'm going to show you, you have to go down too, because you're going to go all the way down to your pubic bone. This line, straight down the middle, and that's what you're going to test. And you're going to put your hand in there, wiggle it a little bit. Okay, if you only can get 1 finger in there, like I'm getting, actually don't have any space at all, then you don't have a recti split. If you can get 1 to 2 fingers in there, that's normal, that's okay. But if you can get 3 or more fingers in that line, anywhere from the sternum, up or near the breastbone, all the way down to the pubic area, if you can get in there and there's a hole, then you've got a diastasis recti and you have a recti split, and you need to strengthen your pelvic floor before you do any abdominal work. Now, don't worry if you've just discovered this and you know your baby's already 3 years old or whatever. It's never too late. You can still strengthen your pelvic floor and still get results and still try to close those abdominal muscles. It just takes some work. And remember, you're working all along here. Another key is if when you raise yourself like this, you see a bulge. If you see a fleshy bulge of tissue coming up from the center, that's your tissue coming up through the recti split. Your muscles are not coming in and tightening and covering that area. So what you want to do is wait the 6 weeks after you've had your baby and see your doctor, point out your recti split. By that time you've been doing your pelvic floor exercises and see what he or she thinks. That's what I did. Now when I had my baby, I did the test 4 days after, and I really could only get maybe about 1.5 to 2 fingers in there, but it was only down close near my belly button a little bit. So I did my pelvic floor exercises as I was told, and my Kegels, which are also extremely important, which is when you tighten the pelvic floor, you lift and tighten it. As a matter of fact, I had a really nice nurse after I had my first child, and she said to me, and I just delivered, it was maybe an hour later, and I mean, you know, you're exhausted there, and she says, okay, it's time to get started. And I thought, get started with what? She goes, your Kegels. And I go, now? And she says, absolutely. You're going to start now, and you're going to do them for the rest of your life. And she was so nice, and she was so right. Because you should be doing them for the rest of your life. Because it helps to prevent incontinence. It helps keep your pelvic floor strong. It supports your stomach muscles. It supports everything inside. It's the whole internal structure of your pelvic floor, and it's so important as you get older. Okay, so there are 4 exercises that I'm going to show you for you to strengthen your pelvic floor and try to bring that recti split in. So you're going to lie down like I am, and you're going to do a simple pelvic tilt. Knees bent, arms down to the side, and it's a very small movement. You're going to tilt and release. Tilt. Now if you see when I tilt, I want you to hollow out your belly, so suck your belly in towards the ground, and you're going to tilt. Don't make your belly stick up. Tilt. The bottom, my lower back, my sacrum is pressing into the floor, and release. Press and release. Try to hold it for 2 or 3 seconds and release. And you can feel it already working inside. Now, do not tense your buttock muscles, okay? You want to make sure that these are loose, that you're just tilting your pelvis. That's all you're doing. Now, let's talk about breathing. I want you to exhale on the tilt. So whenever you do the exertion, and breathing is very important when you do abdominal exercise. So you just breathe in and breathe out when you tilt. Try to do 50 of these twice a day if you can. Anytime you you can think of doing it. If you can do them 3 times a day, that's great. Your Kegels, I would recommend that you do them throughout the day. You can do them sitting, lying down. All you're doing is tensing your pelvic floor muscles, the same muscles that you use to go to the bathroom. You're just clenching them, bringing them up and holding them, and then releasing them, okay? So you can hold them for a few seconds, that's great. And you can work up to longer periods of time. Next exercise. So you'll try to do 50 of those if you can. If you want to do all these exercises at once, you can shorten it. You can do 30 or 25 and then move on to the next one. The next exercise we're going to do is where we're going to keep our knees bent. We're going to put our pelvic tilt on. Okay, so you're going to tilt your pelvis, press it into the ground, butt's relaxed, and you're going to slowly stretch the leg out and bring it in. And I like to do one side and then the other. So do like a count of 10 on one side and then do the other. Now, this entire time I'm keeping the pelvic tilt. You should be pressing your pelvis, tilting it up. See, I'm tilting it up, hollowing out my stomach so that it goes to the ground, trying to get my belly button as close to the ground as I can. And then I'm stretching my leg out and lifting it back up. And stretching it out and lifting it up. Breathe naturally. We have a tendency to hold our breath when we do exercises for abdominals. Don't do that. Breathe regularly. Okay? Next leg. And I'm just giving you a demonstration. So when you do it for yourself, you're going to do more repetitions. Next exercise. Again, you keep your pelvic tilt, and we're going to lift our legs to a 90-degree angle. And what we're going to do is we're going to lower them and lift them back up again. So we're going to go like this, and up, and this, and up. And you can do one leg at a time, or you can alternate. I like alternating. So just extend it, keeping the pelvic tilt. You're pressing it into the floor, and then you're extending your leg. And bringing it back to 90 degrees. I have one more to show you. And you're going to need a towel for this one, because I think it's the most efficient way to do it. This also helps if you have a bad back, because it helps give you some lower back support. And you're going to wrap it around your waistline, right around your abdominal muscles, and you're going to tie it like this. And what this does is it holds those abdominal muscles together while you lift yourself off the ground. So another way to do it that I was shown years ago too was to press your abdominal muscles in from the sides while you lift your head up. Okay, you press in like that. But I think I like the towel better than I do pressing in my stomach. So you want to pull it tight, and you're gonna, as you pull, you lift. So pull, and lift. So I'm pulling tight and I'm lifting, and release, and pull, and release. Remember your pelvic tilt. Your pelvis is tilted, and it's on the floor. So you've got that tip up. The pelvis is tipped up. And now I'm pulling on the towel as I'm lifting. Remember that. And release. And pull, and release. And pull tight, and release. Now you can see how simple those exercises are, but they go a long way. Now, if you've got a recti split, ladies, remember you roll to the side and you press up off the ground, because while it's healing, you want to make sure that you keep any undue stress off of that area. No heavy lifting. Don't just get up off the ground, because it puts a lot of pressure on the center of your abdomen. And you want to just roll over, push off with your legs. You learn that when you're pregnant too, because you can't just get off the bed or the chair forward. You're supposed to just use your upper body to turn yourself. And for you guys out there that have a recti split, do these every day and you will see improvement in your recti split. You want to build good interior foundation to your abs. That's what pulls them in, that's what flattens them out, and that's what gives you support for your whole life. It's also great to support your back. Anybody who has any neck or back problems, these are great. This is a great ab workout if you have a bad back or you can't do crunches, you can't lift your neck, things like that. This video, you can use this to help you. Pelvic floor exercises for the, it will achieve great results for those of you that can't do crunches and things like that. So I hope you found this video very helpful. If you had never heard of diastasis recti, every pregnant woman or woman who's thinking of becoming pregnant or just had a baby should all be familiar with it. You should all know about it because you can do pelvic floor exercises throughout your pregnancy. As a matter of fact, pelvic tilts can be done on all fours as well as sitting down. You just tilt your pelvis, okay? Just going to tilt your pelvis, and that really helps strengthen your pelvic floor. So you want to keep that in mind. Of course, when you're pregnant, you always run everything by your doctor because everybody has different things that they're going throughout pregnancy. But staying active and fit throughout your pregnancy really helps with your delivery. It helps keep you feeling better. It helps your muscles. So it's something to remember. Well, thank you so much for viewing. Please subscribe because I have so much more to come, something of interest to everyone. And please visit me at my blogspot where I post very regularly lots of different topics. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye now.